Hi there, and welcome to our webinar recording today. My name is Douglas McCurson. I am the head of marketing at Filestage, and today's webinar is all about motivation. I think anyone who's worked remotely knows that it's a topic that crops up a lot for teams and for individuals. The question of how to stay motivated, focused, how to feel connected to the rest of the team when you're working remotely, because you don't have the same everyday common interactions in the office. You need to exchange that for something else when you're working remotely. So our company has been working remotely for a number of years, and today we're going to share some of the thoughts and practices that that we have in our team that has helped us to overcome those challenges. And with me to discuss this topic is Nicholas Dawn, CEO of Filestage. Hi, Nicholas.
Hi, Doug. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to
Cool.
meet you. So yeah,
Great.
thanks for jumping on this this call. I think we have a short presentation that we've collected some ideas, but otherwise we're just going to try and keep this a very natural conversation where we explore wherever the conversation takes us. So maybe you just want to give a short introduction about uh, what Filestage is, the products, and the company structure.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, maybe I start with Filestage. So, Filestage is there for more than 6 years. It's a software as a service company, originally located in Germany. Originally, because like the team now is fully remote. So we have almost 25 people all over the world working together remotely. What we do as a company, or what I faced as a problem when I was working in marketing myself was basically reviewing and improving content together. So whenever we produced like videos, flyers, brochures, documents, sales presentations, even like a conference booth or anything like that, we always had the trouble to review and improve that stuff together. And it most cases we ended up in an email ping pong, so it was like super complicated, and that was like the main reason why we started to develop Filestage. Filestage is like a web solution where you can really easily collaborate on your content together, can review and approve it together, make your comments in your files, and approve it with your teammates basically. um, if you're interested in that, everybody listening, you can start a trial on our website and just check it out. It looks a bit like that. But now I think it makes more sense to switch over to the main topic and take a view like behind the scenes and look how we, for example, at Filestage motivate ourselves, the team, and each other. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
absolutely. Yep, sounds good. Maybe I like the next slide just showing how remote our team is. I love that there are markers that look like they're in the middle of the ocean, but we have some
Yeah,
colleagues in some extremely picturesque locations around the world.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, we also have customers all over the place or all over the world. So also makes sense to have a team really like spread out. Yeah, definitely. Cool. So I've I thought it through and thought, okay, what is basically something that is motivating us? We've also reached out to our friends and network via LinkedIn to collect some ideas on that. And basically, these are like the main points here we've collected that really help to motivate. Yeah, if you want, Doug, I can just go through it, give some examples. Maybe we
Sure.
can also discuss it. Yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool. Yeah, so one part is if you start working remotely and you don't have a habit of it, one of the main points I think is to really create like a cozy workspace for yourself where you feel comfortable, where you can focus, concentrate. And I think it sounds pretty obvious, but for example, don't work from your bedroom with your laptop or in your living room with all the other people around or your family around. Normally, this is something that is really like frustrating and distracting over time. So really create just a place where you can work. The other point that I recognize myself is it's important to develop some kind of a morning routine. So because if you have an office job or a job where you have to go, you have your routine just by going there. Basically, you take the bus or your car or whatever, you go there. If you work remotely, you stand up, you eat something, and then you walk over to your desk and that's it. So it makes sometimes, I think, sense to just create a routine, like walk out your dog, take a little workout, do some yoga, read like the news, anything like that, and make it a habit before you start working. Question
Yeah.
for you, Doug: do you have any morning routine that works pretty fine for you? Is it?
Yeah, so yeah, I have a routine. So yeah, I'm one of the people that takes their dog out. And yeah, I have like the first tasks that I do every day are always the same. I'm really boring. I also make the same breakfast every day of the week.
Me too.
Have have the same hot drink at the same time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really appreciate having a routine because you get a few things ticked off without having to completely engage your brain into a problem solving space. And
Yes.
also,
Yeah.
and I think about routines for when you're working remotely. It's similar to a lot of things on this list. It's that when you're working in an office, these things happen as a sort of a product of working in the office. Like you develop a routine, you have certain meetings at certain times, and but when you're working from home, it's on you to build that yourself. You have to do, on purpose, make these things happen.
Yes. Yeah. I think this is a really important thing you just mentioned. So in a remote team, working from home, working, let's say, isolated, you really have to make like the extra step, going the extra mile to structure your day and motivate yourself, I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, One important thing for us that worked pretty fine over the last years is basically to create a plan for your day. So you start working, and what most people automatically do is they open their email tool, they open all their social media stuff, they get notifications, and you jump basically from one thing to another. And then it's already lunchtime, and you think like, okay, what have I done today? And this is something I think many people struggle with. And so what we do at Filestage is basically we train to create a to-do list in the morning, as a very first thing, to just think, okay, what are like the 3, 4, 5 things I want to get done for sure today. And I think some people in the team even block dedicated slots in their calendars for certain tasks on their to-do list. And I think this is really, really helpful because you then really have like something you can follow over the day. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think it's very helpful to be aware of how you work best on certain types of tasks. So,
mhm.
for example, in marketing, it's really useful for most people to block chunks of time for the writing process. So the anything that you have to get written for content gets is done in one block of time that's really focused. So knowing how you work best really helps to plan out the day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean the other thing what we tend to forget if we work alone is basically in an office somebody comes over, knocks on your door and say, "Hey, let's have a coffee." Or at the end of the work day says, "Let's have a beer together," and whatsoever. And for sure this is not going to happen when you work at home. So I think it's important to understand that you have to take breaks yourself and find also a routine for that. Yeah. Yeah. Um, One thing I recognized for myself that helps me to keep motivated is at the end of my workday, basically, I look back at what I have worked on today and think about one thing that I really enjoyed today, and that made me happy. Just one thing. It can be a small thing, a big thing. And this is something that really helps me to stay motivated before I then go into my leisure time, basically, and stop working completely for that day. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have whatever it is. If it's a moment of reflection like that, or if it's something else that works for you, but to have that regular stop to your working day rather than letting it drag out.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one big risk basically when you work at home, that you don't stop working, you keep working, you keep checking your notifications and emails and whatsoever. And yeah, really make a hard stop, turn this stuff off, say now it's like it's enough, and next day. So this is I think really important behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we've also listed some great tools, resources, little helpers you can always check out after watching this video. You can download all that things. One thing to mention here, this is like a tool tracker and technique that helps you to stay focused. I think Max, like from the team, is using it a lot. It's like Pomodoro technique, which basically divides like your day into different slots that you can use for different tasks without interruption. Yeah, feel free to have a look. I think, yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Here on the right side, I've listed our favorite tool for to-do lists and project management. This is something we use at Filestage. It's called Asana. There are a lot of other tools you can use for that as well, but it really helps like to plan the day and collaborate with the others on certain tasks and projects. Cool. Anything forgotten here or you want to
No,
mention?
I think so. Just one comment on this. Like you
Mhm.
said, this is a collection of individual things that work for individuals on the team for self-motivation. So really, there are things that uh, everyone in the team does, like using Asana, and then there are things that individuals have found work for them. And I think it's important that everyone uh, does that for themselves.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think it's also kind of obvious. It's not like one fit size all. Is it what you're
One
saying?
size fits all.
One size fits all. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's not like that. So I think really everybody is individual and has to find like stuff that works for him or her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay, from there, I think we could jump over to team motivation. So, what works basically to stay motivated as a team? What can you do to motivate your team members, your colleagues? What works best? We've also made, I mean, there are tons of tips you can do and follow, but this is really like a collection where I think this is for me like the baseline. This is the foundation. This is really important if you want to stay motivated in your team, if you want to build trust among the team. Then these are like the points. Yeah. I mean, you worked in an office before, Doug, so maybe you can tell me a bit more about like the first part here.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, yeah, of course. So, when you're arriving into your workspace in an office, and especially if you have worked in an open office space before, you walk past desks, you say hello to everyone as you meet, and on the way out, you say goodbye. This is just a normal part of regular social interaction. And if you're not walking past desks because you're working at home, it might be something that you easily overlook. But it's just having that common sort of social contact in the morning and afternoon or evening, it really makes a difference to the working day.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's really something that's not like, I mean, it's a natural behavior when you see each other and working remotely. That's what one of the first things I think people forget
Yeah,
to keep that behavior basically, and say hello and see who's well and who's not doing well today. And yeah,
yeah,
makes
and
sense.
I think it's the implementation we have. So we have a dedicated channel in our chat tool just focused on saying hello and goodbye, or just giving that status update if there's something that's in particular different about today. If you're not feeling well, for example, or
Mhm.
you have an errand to run, or whatever it might be that's different that you just want to mention in passing. Yeah, I think it's a great idea to have this dedicated channel for it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you can have it, I think, in all the chat tools. It's possible to
Yeah,
have a channel for stuff like this. Yeah.
yeah,
Another part that was really helpful for us is basically to have like daily stand-up meetings, but using video chat basically to hold these stand-up meetings. So what does it mean? We have an entire video and guide, I think, about effective meetings. You could also download and have a look at later on. Just brief. What we do is basically every day we gather like for 5 to 15 minutes maximum in each team to have a daily stand up. And in this stand up, basically, it's a video chat. So it's really important to turn your videos on and not just audio. So you can really see each other and then feel basically how the other, of how your colleagues actually are doing. And we basically just have these three questions we go through every day. How do I feel today? What's my focus for today? And is there anything blocking me? Do I need help with anything? And these three questions really help to reflect, to stay healthy in the team, to see if there's any trouble. And what I've also learned, it builds a lot of trust among colleagues because you know like what's going on. You can see what's going on. You see the struggle. You can help each other. This is something I really like and I recommend totally to have. In addition, you can have like a stand up in written communication. So basically, everybody on top of saying it will also fill out like these 3 questions daily. And there are wonderful bots you can use basically for your chat tools that would automatically ask you questions like this. Yeah. I think it's also an instrument for let's say old school leaders that don't trust people that work at home. I think that's one of the biggest challenges to overcome with people that are not used to it. They think, okay, if you are at home, you're not productive, you're lazy. And this is, I think, one effective way to show everybody, hey, something's going on. We are working on stuff. There's progress. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it serves the double purpose of keeping everyone up to date with the tasks you're working on, as well as having that non-spoken interaction, just to where you have the feeling of how that person is on that particular day.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And this is something in an office that also happens naturally. You
yeah,
see if somebody's not doing well. You see
yeah.
it, you feel it. In a remote team, basically you don't see it. So you need to
Mm.
create opportunities to see that basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Vision and explain why. I think this is one of the core things if you want to stay motivated in a company, in a team. And this is, I think, especially something for leaders, but also for every team member. Share your vision, share why you do stuff, share why it's important, share why this strategy, why this decision, explain the context, and better do it 3 times than just 1 time. So everybody can see it, feel it, and can also make like own decision based on your vision. And I
Mm.
think this is a really important part for team motivation. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need to trust that so that people are going to make the right decisions based on the information, because working remotely might mean that your working schedules don't overlap as much as they would do
Mhm.
all in the same office. If everyone has the right context, then everyone can be trusted to make better decisions throughout their working day.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really about, I mean, in my opinion, information has to be transparently shared among the teams, so everybody can make better decisions.
Yeah,
And we at Filestage, we are quite liberal with what we share basically. Like we share all kind of things like revenues and everything with everybody. And I feel it is really like an advantage for our company and for everybody in the team to just be more autonomous and make good decisions.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I think it goes hand in hand with also setting clear goals. There's a wonderful instrument called OKRs, so basically objective key results. You can read and watch more about it in the internet. I'm pretty sure we will also create like one session about it ourselves in future. This is really like an instrument to set goals and to track like towards this goals, track your KPIs, and make sure that entire company is running like in the same direction, and that you also, I think, focus your energy. I think, Doug, you and me, we worked a lot together over time, and I think the focus part was always something that was like part of our conversations, I think, and how to focus and so on. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, the OKRs are a great tool to enable that, because you can come up with some fantastic ideas, and maybe it's something that does get worked on in the future. But the question is it now, or are there other ideas that will take us towards our immediate objectives first? And this is best practice really for in the office too. It's just like even more important when you're working remotely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's so much stuff that distracts you, that tours you away from your goals. So this really helps to set it somewhere in stone and then follow it and then track against it every week. And I
Yeah.
think it's super important.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the other point, is making sure that it's accessible remotely
Hmm.
as well, so that it has to be available for everyone to have access to it in the cloud.
Yeah. I think it's probably also one thing we don't have explicitly on this list, but making information accessible, making
Mm,
tools accessible for your team really helps to, let's say, avoid frustration and keep motivation,
yeah,
because it's really annoying if you need to search for all kind of stuff and you don't have access and so on. So
yeah,
this is quite helpful, I think. Um, this is again like a really nice list of tools, resources, helpers. We've listed some great video chat tools you can try and use. We, for example, use a lot like Google Hangouts, lately also Zoom, and chat tools. For example, we use Slack. There are also really like good tools like Microsoft Teams, Flock, and so on. You can use to establish like chatting. Yeah. Uh, Um, I think from there we can jump to the last part,
hmm
the social part. I think for a company, it sounds a bit like, okay, why do we need like social and why do we need to socialize? Why is it important? We recognized over the last year that socializing in a remote team is possible and is also key to success, in my opinion. So let's take a look at this part. We over time have collected some wonderful, I think, tips and things you can really do to socialize in your remote team. Yeah, I don't know, Doug, do you want to pick one and to just explain maybe a bit what we do there? So, for
sure.
example, yeah,
Yeah, the first one on the list, the icebreaker. This is something that I think from the outside it might be seen as even cheesy to have to like go to a party and or on your first day at schools you had icebreakers or whatever it might be, but they are it's a very useful tool to get everyone to speak on a call very early, and that's immediately breaks down the barrier to them contributing more throughout your meeting.
yeah. I think that's an important aspect. So, if you have like a bigger round of people having a conference together, I don't know, 10, 15 people, then it's easy basically for the shy ones to hide a bit and don't say anything and wait basically for the others to interact. And I think icebreakers are a really wonderful instrument. So you can ask like in the beginning, okay, what's your favorite animal? What was the movie you have seen like in the last month or so? Stuff like this, just short questions everybody can answer will really like create like different atmosphere in my opinion. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think we just mentioned this point with video and audio. Have turn your video cameras on if you have conference calls. Not showing your face and where you are is basically, I think, not a good thing for trust building. On the other side, if you have video turned on, you can really see emotions. You can basically feel like the team and the motivation. And I think it's key for an effective remote communication to work with video.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Then I've brought in like here's a picture of something. So there was like Women's Day, like I think a couple of weeks ago, and we sent out like flowers basically to all the women working at Filestage. It was just one beautiful, I think, idea coming from our happiness manager, and what we do at Filestage and what we really try to create as a culture is a culture of praising and yeah, mentioning good stuff that happens, saying yes, this was well done what you have done here, mentioning achievements, praising people basically. And I think this is also something that just don't happen naturally normally and can be enforced that as well. um, yeah, I don't know, Dak, what's your impression on this part? Is it
Yeah,
important or
absolutely. Really important. And also, it's important to understand some of the effects of the type of communication you choose for the praise as well. So, of course, it's having a one-to-one communication with the person you want to praise has an effect. And then sometimes if you put that praise in public, it has a very different effect. So if you have a public channel where you want to bring attention to someone's fantastic work, it gets the whole team excited and supporting that person, and that really helps to build team spirit and team celebration around colleagues that we work with.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think this is also one thing. So there's also always good stuff happening. So there's always something you can praise um, every day, every week in front of the people. You can do it in private, but I think it really has to be part of your culture. And even though I think also among like the leaders of your company, it's I think something that often is like lost within like higher management, so you don't praise each other anymore. It's more like, okay, elbow, I'm the best one. uh, I think it should be the other way around. Just praise yourself for good stuff, and everybody in the team and the company will be a lot more motivated. So definitely I think one of the best things we have, we use it or we do it in a chat sometimes. So we just sometimes write something. Sometimes it's like in a video meeting that we praise each other. Sometimes we even send stuff. So I think there are different ways to show that you appreciate somebody's work and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. Um, Fun part. So yes, in a company, you're also allowed to have some fun. Um, so, for example, what we've created like a channel as well, again, in our chat tool that is just for fun stuff, private, leisure time, experiences, whatever. So everybody can share their things for. So, for example, when you have been like on vacation, normally you have some beautiful pictures to share or your favorite songs. I think a couple of people at Filestage are singing in bands and basically have really recorded good stuff and shared it. So all kind of things like that. What you typically also share in an office, I think you also need to give it room and have like give people the option to share stuff like this and learn more about colleagues basically, even though they're not sitting next to you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last point on the donuts and coffee breaks, I think
Mhm.
this is a really great tool again for just for having a process to help everyone interact or replace that coffee break that you would have with people from different departments. It's
Mhm.
a great tool.
Can you
Yeah, I think
explain how it works?
yeah, so yeah, so it's a an integration for our chat tool. I think it works with other tools as well, or at least there are other versions of it that randomly pairs two people from the company together, and they arrange to have a short meeting where they talk about anything that doesn't involve work. So you find out all kinds of things about your colleagues that you would not otherwise have the chance to do so. And it's a great way to just to get to know more about the people that you're working with, even if they're thousands of miles away, or you don't see them in real life. It's a really cool tool for getting to know the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy that we actually started that. I don't know basically who found out about it, but it's really like an excellent tool, and you learn so much cool stuff, especially if you work in a company where lots of different cultures work together. It's always awesome to learn more there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think we're at the end of this nice video session. I think it was really interesting talk. I also learned some stuff again. I think if you want to learn more about remote working, best practices, tips, and things like that, we've collected uh, lots of resources, tips for you. So basically, every week now we will create like a video and we'll add it to our YouTube channel. You can watch. Um, we've created like for sure we have our LinkedIn page where we share lots of best practices, and here I would also encourage you to just interact with us. You can comment on our YouTube channel, you can comment on our posts on LinkedIn. Just let us know if you have any questions or thoughts or best practices. I think we're super happy to just discuss with you. We have a wonderful blog created by one of our colleagues with lots of tips and tricks. So yeah, feel free to interact with us. That would be great. And besides that, I think that's all from my side.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, and yeah, looking forward to responding to some of your questions soon.
All right, good. Then take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.